On the news tonight, Nigeria records 87 fresh cases of COVID-19 infections. Pastors, imams sentenced for violation of government's lockdown order. Nigeria Medical Association cancels federal government ahead of review of lockdown. Mysterious death in Kano claims another university done. United States Disease Control Center identifies 6 new COVID-19 symptoms. Good health and good sense are 2 of life's greatest blessings. Good evening and welcome to Ogtv News. My name is Idowu Fabadu. As the second phase of the lockdown order in Ogun ends its last 7 days, it is believed that the pronouncement of President Muhammadu Buhari to stop the spread of COVID-19 will yield the desired result. Our reporter Yusuf Ganiyu will move around the Abeokuta metropolis to observe the compliance of the order. Reports that residents are not in any way flouting the directive. His report.
I am directing the cessation of all movements in Lagos and the FCT for an initial period of 14 days with effect from 11 p.m. on Monday, 30th March 2020.
On the 28th of April 2020, it will be exactly 1 month that President Muhammadu Buhari ordered the lockdown of Lagos, Ogun and Federal Capital Territory Abuja, basically to ensure the dreaded coronavirus is curtailed. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 continues to intensify more efforts on modalities and measures to curtail the spread of the virus in the country.
Work shall be required in the creation of awareness among the people and in securing a buy-in of all stakeholders. I find it necessary to remind us all that this COVID-19 pandemic is not a joke, and it is a global pandemic. I therefore renew the appeal of the PTF to all Nigerians to view it as such and comply with all adversaries and directives in the interest of humanity.
Ogun State government is also not leaving any stone unturned to flatten the curve of the pandemic in the state. However, the lockdown order in Ogun State is gaining momentum as residents continue to support the initiative at managing the spread of the virus. Ogtv News, which move around the Abeokuta metropolis, observed that everywhere is calm, no sort of religious activities despite being a Sunday, except those on essential duties performing their responsibilities to cushion the effect of the lockdown order and to ensure the containment of the spread of COVID-19 in the state. Yusuf Ganiyu, Ogtv News.
Prophet Damola Elijah of Celestial Church of Christ, Isaiah 43 verse 4 Cathedral, OGD Housing Estate, Ashiru Abeokuta, has been arrested by the Nigerian Police Force Ogun State Task Force on illegalities of allegedly trying to hold a Sunday church service in his church. The task force, acting on information provided by residents of the estate, stormed the premises of the church before the commencement of the service and effected the arrest of the prophet alongside his wife and other church members. The prophet was then taken to the task force office in Quarry Road at Beloba for his statement. The prophet, who denied the allegation, promised never to go against government directive of holding church services or ban on high-density gathering.
No, that was, I think, the lockdown they did. They stopped us. Yeah. Do you remember the information came late? If you remember I don't know the date. The information came, that was the Sunday. That was evening that they told they said they should not do this. I said, okay. Later we had the news in the evening. After then, my wife fell sick. We were taking her from one place. That's what you can ask her.
He said he has always complied with government directives. In what looks like defiance to the federal and Ogun State lockdown order, residents of Ota and its adjoining communities are up and moving with disregard for the government's directives, creating an impression that the various enlightenment and public advocacy being put in place to ensure that the spread of this dreaded virus is curtailed. Residents of those adjoining communities to Lagos State are moving about with less concern. At the toll gate Ota, the Lagos boundary with Ogun State, the motorbikes Okada were fully in operation with obvious disregard to social distancing principle. The Ota Idiruku, despite the presence of the security personnel to different places, the Okada riders and some unregistered taxis plying the route still find their ways through, giving an impression of compromise at the various checkpoints. Although 3 cases have been announced from the area by the state government, the nonchalant attitude of the residents belie the fact that the pandemic is real in the heart of the people at Joju bus stop. Unexpected passengers were by the roadside looking for vehicles towards Abeokuta. This disobedience was also noticed at Ifo, where some yellow buses were stopped. However, they were left off the hook as the passengers embarked on their journey. A senior police officer who spoke off camera along the road disclosed that the security personnel does not have the mandate of arrest or meting out punishment, reasons why the violations were rampant, particularly outside the state capital. Nigeria on Saturday recorded 87 new cases of the novel coronavirus, bringing the country's total infections to 1,182, according to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC. According to the NCDC, in a tweet via its official handle, 33 of the new infections were recorded in Lagos, 18 in Borno, 12 in Osun, 9 in Katsina, 4 each in Kano and Ekiti, 3 each in Edo and Bauchi, and 1 in Imo. The country's total deaths from the virus now stand at 35, while 222 have recovered. The new coronavirus has claimed at least 2,736 lives since its outbreak in China in December. According to a tally from official sources complied by AFP at 19:00 GMT on Saturday, more than 2,864,070 cases were registered in 193 countries and territories. Of these cases, at least 772,900 are now considered recovered. The tallies, using data collected by AFP from national authorities and information from the World Health Organization (WHO), probably reflect only a fraction of the actual number of infections. Since Friday evening, 6,813 new deaths and 93,320 infections were recorded worldwide. The United States, the worst hit country, registered 2,710 of those deaths, Britain 813, and Italy 415. A mobile court sitting at the Eagles Court in Abuja, the nation's capital, has convicted 5 clerics. Among them are 3 imams and 2 pastors for violating the presidential order shutting down the Federal Capital Territory (FCT). They were convicted by presiding magistrate Idayat Akoni, who sentenced them to 1 month imprisonment. Magistrate Akoni, however, gave them an option of a fine of 5,000 naira in addition to supervised community service for 1 day. Those convicted were Imam Abdullahi Muhammad of Gwarimpa Estate, Imam Suleiman Idris of Mobi Close, Area 11, Gaki, and Deputy Imam Usaini Umar of the same address. Others are Pastor Phillips Olubori of Celestial Church of Christ, Lugbe, and Reverend Moses Chinedu of Mercy City Gospel Center, Akko Estate, Lugbe. Addressing journalists after the court verdict, the chairman FCT Ministerial Enforcement Task Force team on COVID-19 operations, Ikaru Attach, said the various mobile courts which sat at different locations within the territory convicted over 73 violators on Sunday. The subcommittee of the Economic Sustainability Committee, led by the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has proposed the easing of the current COVID-19 lockdown in some states and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Abuja. The committee is recommending that the government implements a gradual unlocking of movement and activities in the affected areas. There have been outcries by many Nigerians over the attendant hardship occasioned by the restriction of movements and the shutdown of economic activities in virtually every state of the Federation. It was learned that the subcommittee will be meeting with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, and the Presidential Economic Advisory Council this week for further consultation. Ahead of the imminent review of the lockdown imposed on the Federal Capital Territory, Lagos and Ogun States by President Muhammadu Buhari, the Nigerian Medical Association has advised the federal government to again extend the lockdown, which ends on Monday, 27th April 2020. This, the association said, would help to contain the rapid spread of the coronavirus disease. It added that with the exponential rise in the number of cases recorded across the country daily, people should not see the lockdown as a punishment, but a necessary measure to contain the spread of the deadly virus. It, however, stressed the need for fair distribution of the palliative to cushion the hardship the restriction had caused Nigerians. But the Nigerian Association of Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, and the Director General, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Muda Yusuf, opposed the possible extension of the total lockdown, saying the government should consider the partial opening of the economy. Ondo State has reported 3 new positive cases of coronavirus, bringing the total number of infections in the state to 7. The state governor, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, announced this in a series of tweets on Sunday. It disclosed that one of the new cases was a suspect arraigned in a court in Akure, the state capital, on Friday last week. The suspect was among the 4 men arraigned at a chief magistrate court sitting in Akure over the killing of Mrs. Funke Olakunrin, the daughter of the national leader of Afenifere, Pa Ruben Fashionati. The governor stated that the suspect has been isolated from others in detention and will be moved to the infectious disease hospital for treatment. Meanwhile, the Jigawa state government has isolated 607 Almajiri children that were evacuated from Kano, a 14-day period. The Commissioner of Health and Chairman of the State Task Force on COVID-19, Dr. Abba Zakari, disclosed this to newsmen at the NYSC camp in Jigawa, where the children are being isolated. He noted that the measure is necessary to avoid possible spread of the virus, as Kano has the third highest number of infected persons in the country. On his part, Governor Abubakar, who received the children upon their arrival, said they are at risk during this period. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has asked governors of the 36 states of the Federation to channel their security votes and life pensions of ex-governors to fight the coronavirus pandemic. Deputy Director of SIRAP, Mr. Kolawole Oluwadare, said the Freedom of Information requests had been sent to all the governors to urgently provide information on spending on COVID-19 in their respective states. SIRAP said in the full request that the public funds initially budgeted for security votes and former governors' life pension should be directed or redirected by the 7 governors to improve public health care facilities and access to quality education in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic. In a letter written to the governors dated April 25, the organization urged them to show leadership, transparency, and accountability to effectively respond to the COVID-19 crisis. As part of efforts to containing the spread of the novel coronavirus and its devastating effects on helpless Nigerians, Dauda Adegbinru Foundation has distributed food items to the needy in Ogun State. The charitable demonstration, according to a member of the Board of Trustees, Alhaji Adishino Adegbinru, is one born of the zeal to join the state government and other well-meaning Nigerians in providing support to the less privileged in the society. Our reporter Ifeshulu Ade witnessed the distribution exercise, which took place at Lafenwa. His report is presented in this package.
With 7 days gone out of the 14 days lockdown extension in Ogun State, as well as COVID-19 positive cases on the increase, the Dauda Adegbero Foundation has deemed it fit to extend the hands of love to the vulnerable at Lafenwa, Abeokuta.
You know that government cannot do this thing all alone. A lot of people are contributing to assist the effort of the government. So that Adegbero Foundation also decided that we will add our own little efforts to relieve the pain of this lockdown.
The foundation, which was named after the late southwestern political icon Dauda S. Adegbero, has solved the needs of many households and communities through several projects and philanthropic gestures as such.
Some of the children and some distinguished, notable people in the society came together and decided to form this foundation to start executing some projects that will continue to bring up the name of Alhaji D.S. Adegbero.
Engineer Adeshino Adegbero also extends some words of admonition to the public on what to do to stay safe and contain the spread of the virus.
The only thing that can help us to prevent it is for us to take care of ourselves, of our health, cover our mouth and nose, wash our hands regularly, and stay indoors.
Some of the beneficiaries, upon receiving their relief packages, extend their appreciation to the foundation for their endless humanitarian support.
At least it's not easy to dip your hand and then give out. So it's not easy. So I really appreciate them, because even if there is very small, it's better than none. So I thank them very, very well.
Ọlọ́run á tún bá wa ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́, wọn ò ní rí aburú torí kò ń ṣe pé gbogbo ìjọba gan dé ibi ìbà ìṣó adúpẹ́ fún nǹkan tó ń ṣe fún wa. Ọlọ́run á dẹ̀ bá wa dúró ti gbogbo ìdílé wọn lápapọ̀.
Kò sí nǹkan tá a fẹ́ sọ lẹ́yìn pé ká kàn dúpẹ́ fún Ọlọ́run, ká dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn tó fún wa nìkan pé Ọlọ́run á máa bá wa ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́. Ọlọ́run dẹ̀ ń jẹ́ kẹ́ni kankan wá ṣe kòńgẹ́ àrùn yìí lágbára Ọlọ́run.
Mo dẹ̀ dúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run, Ọlọ́run á máa ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́. Ní pàdé àgbàkú àrùn tó wà ní Nàìjíríà kò ní iṣẹ́ ní kankan nù.
Engineer Adegbero are ever pleased with all Muslim faithful to seize this Ramadan period to pray for the world at large against the unending pandemic called coronavirus.
In continuation of its onslaught at eliminating terrorists from the northeast, the Armed Forces of Nigeria has neutralized several Islamic State of West Africa province, ISWAP, fighters at Koloram on the fringes of the Lake Chad. The onslaught was executed through the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole. In a statement by the coordinator, Defense Media Operations, Defense Headquarters, Major General John Eneche, says the operation was conducted based on credible intelligence reports indicating that some of the ISWAP leaders and fighters had converged in the settlement for a meeting. Accordingly, Nigerian Air Force fighter jets and surveillance aircraft were scrambled to attack the location, and with overhead target, the moving terrorists were engaged, leading to neutralization of several of them. The few survivors were taken out in subsequent passes as the jets strafed the area. The Armed Forces of Nigeria, in furtherance of the objective of restoring peace and security in the northeast, will intensify offensive operations against the enemies of the country. South Africa held its first multiracial election 26 years ago on Sunday, defying bombs, bluster and a threat of civil war to conjure a spectacle of voters in long-winded lines that ravaged the world. This report takes us back to 1994 when the event happened.
There is too much violence, but the government has taken extensive steps to deal with it. In KwaZulu-Natal, there is a state of emergency. In the other trouble spot in South Africa, the PWV area, but specifically Johannesburg and surrounds.
Any leader who is merely promoting the point of view of his political party is not a leader who is going to help to pull out South Africa from this mess. And what I find unacceptable is the fact that the president should misquote the reports of Mr. Goldstone.
That was 1994 pre-election debate between Nelson Mandela and de Klerk. The general elections were held in South Africa between 26 and 29 April 1994. The elections were the first in which citizens of all races were allowed to take part, and were therefore also the first held with universal adult suffrage. The election was conducted under the direction of the Independent Electoral Commission (IEC) and marked by a culmination of the 4-year process that ended apartheid. Millions queued in lines over a 4-day voting period. Altogether, 19,726,579 votes were counted, and 193,081 were rejected as invalid. As widely expected, the African National Congress (ANC), whose slate incorporated the Labour Confederation (COSATU) and the South African Communist Party, won a sweeping victory, taking 62% of the vote, just short of the 2/3 majority required to unilaterally amend the interim constitution. As required by that document, the ANC formed a government of national unity with the National Party and the Inkatha Freedom Party, the two other parties that won more than 20 seats in the National Assembly. The new National Assembly's first act was to elect Nelson Mandela as president, making him the country's first black chief executive. The date, 27 April, is now a public holiday in South Africa called Freedom Day. A professor of mass communication at the Bayero University, Kano, Balarabe Maikaba, died on Sunday. He died in Kano, but details of his death were sketchy as of the time of this report. According to a family source, funeral prayer was held for the deceased at 4 p.m. at his family house near Plaza Cinema, Fagre quarters in Kano City. Scores of people, including elites and prominent sons of the state, have been lost to a yet-to-be-identified disease, with Dala, Afed, Taroni, Nasarawa, Gwali, and Kano Municipal worst hit. Among those already buried are academics, administrators, bankers, media practitioners, and businessmen. Within the past 8 days of lockdown in the state, no fewer than 20 persons have died. Eyewitnesses and undertakers at cemeteries in the state said an unspecified number of people had died and were buried over the past few days. Among the prominent persons that died in Kano on Saturday were Professor Ibrahim Ayagi, Dr. Musa Umar Gwazo, Alhaji Dairu Rabiu, former Grand Gadi, Musa Tijani, editor of Triumph newspaper, and Adamu Ishiakudal, who was a former executive secretary of the State Universal Basic Education Board. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, in the U.S. has updated its guidance to add 6 new symptoms to its list of possible signs of coronavirus. The U.S. Health Agency had previously only listed fever, cough, and shortness of breath as symptoms. However, it has now included chills, repeated shaking with chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, and new loss of taste or smell. Shortness of breath has also been changed to shortness of breath or difficulty breathing. The CDC says any of the 9 symptoms can develop from 2 to 14 days after exposure to the virus. French police say they have seized 140,000 face masks destined for sale on the black market. Officers say they caught a businessman unloading the mask from a lorry into a house in St. Denis, north of Paris. Last month, France requisitioned all stocks and production of face masks to equip health workers. Meanwhile, in China, the authorities have confiscated poor quality face masks. The country has faced criticism over poor quality exports. Officials had inspected nearly 16 million businesses and had also seized large quantities of effective disinfectant. And now in the world of sport, Everton said they were appalled after images emerged appearing to show striker Moise Kean at a house party. Media reported that Italian Kean 20 filmed himself at the party in his apartment. Everton said they were appalled to learn of an incident in which a first-team player ignored government guidance and club policy in relation to the coronavirus crisis. The club has strongly expressed its disappointment to the player. In a statement, Everton added, Everton has regularly stressed the importance of following all the government guidelines, including rules and advice for inside and outside of the home, through a series of official communications to all staff members, including players. And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for Monday.